A lot of people never try anything differently because they have been convinced by people in their lives that they value that they can't do it. They're living within the context of the opinions that other people have of them, the low expectations.
You need to be patient with the process and not enthralled with the promise. You compromise the rehearsal time and bought the tuxedo for the recital. You want the accoutrements of success, and that's what's killing you. Now you look like something that you're not. Somebody say wrong focus.
If someone is controlling you, it's not their fault, it's yours. You have to put your foot down, make a change. This is your hour. I know people that spend more time worried about what other people think about them than they do pursuing their own dreams and goals. And it's great to get free from addictions, but one of the greatest freedoms is to get free from people.
Many people doubt themselves because when they thought about doing something at some critical point in their lives, somebody they respected and honored, somebody they believed in, somebody that they loved, someone they trusted said, you can't do that.
Most of the people who really ain't got it, they go out of their way to try and show people that they have it. The more you go out of your way to show me that you have it, you're confirming to me that you really don't got it. Because it's perception versus reality. Because you pulling up to the club in the nicest car don't mean you actually got gas money.
As you begin to look at your emotional, your spiritual, and intellectual development, how many books did you read? How many classes did you take to begin to develop yourself professionally, to improve your craft or your skill? How many new things did you learn? Just take some personal inventory, just thinking. Beginning to know yourself. What are the things about your past that has influenced you right now?
You see, a dream, when you get it, will encourage you. There's something about a dream that brings encouragement and joy to people's lives. It gives you excitement. It encourages you. The people who are discouraged are the people who don't have a dream. Because when you have a dream, it makes you get up in the morning. It makes you put your clothes on and go to work because you've got a dream, and a dream has the power to encourage you.
You have not because you ask not. It didn't say you have not because your credit ain't straight. It simply say you have not because you ask not. But you don't ask because you ain't got that together. When you ask God for something, quit tripping. He got it from here.
The same wind blows on us all. The wind of disaster, the wind of opportunity, the wind of change, the wind when it's upside down, the wind when it's favorable and unfavorable. The same wind blows on us all, the economic wind, the social wind. The same wind blows on everybody. The difference in where you arrive in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, the difference in arrival is not the blowing of the wind, but the set of the sail. Your personal philosophy is like a guidance system that helps you make decisions what to do, what not to do. From the information you get and what you learn and what you know, we decide. Maybe your philosophy would have been 5 years ago never to attend seminars like this. You just didn't go. Now 5 years later, here you are. Something happened along the way, so now that little amendment in your philosophy, you now say, I'm going to regularly go. Because it doesn't take but a few ideas to make a great difference in your income, personal life, social life, and all the rest. A change of mind, a change of idea. The more we learn, the more we know, the better we're able to make better decisions.
So what is the worst thing that can happen? I want you to visualize that, experience that, feel the nervousness and the discomfort. And the more you run it in your mind, the less power that it will have.
Your philosophical guidance system does two things. Number one, helps you to see the dangers on one side. so you can avoid those. But here's what else your guidance system does. Helps you to see the opportunities on the other side so that you can expand those, maximize those. And here's what that's called. The game of life is to minimize the dangers and maximize the opportunities. And the more we know and the more we learn, the more experience we gather, helps us to keep continually adjusting our philosophical guidance system so that we minimize more dangers, maximize more opportunities. That's really the game of life.
Stop hanging out with people that make you look good by how little they know. And so you can condescend to them so that you can be a great fish in a small pond. Get around people who make you feel stupid because they stretch you. They make you grow. They make you read. They make you study. They stretch you. They expose you to great information. Then you can make great decisions. Have you ever had anybody turn on you? It's one thing to have an enemy. I don't have no problem with that, because if I know you're my enemy, I dress for you. I come in there prepared, because I already know you and me, we don't do each other. We don't do that, so okay. But the heart cracks when somebody who fought with you now fights against you.
The future is actually the place where there is threat. And it's always going to be there. So what do? You make sacrifices in the present so that the future is better. Everyone does that. That's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing here. It's amazing. You can bargain with reality. You can forestall gratification now. And it'll pay off at a place and time that doesn't even exist yet. Who would have believed that? It's like that's a miracle that occurs.
Learn number one from your own experiences, learn number two from other people's experiences. If you want to live a dynamic life, multiplying your income, multiplying your future, be a good student. If a good idea comes your way, write it down, then ponder it, then perhaps go do it. Your philosophy comes from what you learn, comes from what you know, comes from other people's experiences.
Every decision that you make has consequences, even the smallest decisions.
Consequences are more important than decisions. Don't ever make a decision more important than a consequence, because decisions give birth to consequences. People normally say if you make a decision, you got to live with it. That is not true. You live with the consequences.
When you are exposed to things, it gives you options. Options give you choices, and choices require decisions. It is critically important that you make this next step into sound decisions.
Are you making yourself better? Or are you making yourself worse? Are you moving forward or are you moving back? Are you making progress or are you stagnating? Every little decision you make counts.
Some people are afraid to make decisions. They just contemplate the options for years and miss the opportunity to change their life because they miss the time factor that is involved in making a great decision.
So what you must do before you make any decision in life is don't study the decision. Make sure you exhaust every possible means to study the consequences. Do your research, get information, check all the alternatives, study the options, check those who already made that decision, and read their life, study their life, find out everything before you make a decision.
Deciding to decide, to act, is a major, major challenge for all of us. And there are things that happen to us along the way, experiences that we have that prevent us from working through the mental block of acting. And so what I want you to think about is, what is there that you know you need to do But for some reason or another, you've been holding back. For some reason or another, you just have not been able to gather your nerves or be able to work through the procrastinating or putting it off or justifying or blaming. Some reason or another, you just haven't done it.
I don't want to spend the second half of my life repeating the dumb stuff that I did in the first half of my life. Give me the grace, if you will. Give me the mercy, if you please, to make a good decision so that I can eat the fat of the land. I'm not stupid. I just made stupid decisions. I'm not bad. I just made bad decisions. I'm not weak. I just made weak decisions. There are a lot of things you think about you. It's not really you. It's your decisions.
Being successful, y'all, is not a magic trick. You have to learn the principles of success. You can be successful at anything. You really can, man. I don't have no education. I'm telling you, God has an incredible life for you. All you got to do is ask him for it. Be willing to put in the work. But now this work part is hard. Success is hard. But let me ask you a question. Ain't not being successful hard too?
You cannot reach your destiny dragging people along, trying to keep everyone happy.
Life is like an elevator. The higher you go up, like those spaceships, they let certain stuff off because it's too heavy. Yet some people just too heavy when it comes to drama. When you have goals and dreams and you want to fine tune your life and approach to life, you want to create a drama-free zone.
What else is in you? Who are you ignoring? Is there a version of you you're ignoring? So think about that stuff and really begin to ask yourself, am I satisfied where I am? And start listening to that voice inside of you saying, hey, listen, it's whispering right now, but it's calling you. It's saying there's something more. There's something else. There's something else you can get.
Deciding to keep your word. If you just decide, I'm going to keep my word. If I say something, I'm going to do it regardless. Being more considerate, more disciplined, being more adventurous. Find something that you can look at your life that you say, hey, I know I've got a problem in this area, being late. I need to take care of that. Procrastinating, I need to deal with that.
For things to change, you have to change. I was hoping the government would change and taxes would change. I wished for everything to change. And my teacher said, no, Mr. Rohn, for things to change for you, you have to change. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And here's the big one. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. You simply need more skills.
Stop telling the old story. Here's the truth. Nobody cares. No one cares if you've had a setback. No one cares if you had a victory. And none of those failures, none of those setbacks, none of those victories, and that old character you keep playing is the very thing that will prevent you from becoming this new version of you.
Not taking care of business, being seriously not serious. Creating an imbalance in my life where I'm spending more time looking at television or having social fun and not spending enough time working on me. See, most people, ladies and gentlemen, spend more time working on their jobs than they'd spend working on themselves.
It's a story if you're stuck. It's an old story you're telling with an old character that was last year's version, last decade's version. Who's the new character? What's the new script? What's the new story?
I want you to focus on what does it take when you look at your life. Very important to focus on the examples of other people of what it takes to live the kind of life that you desire. You want to make it in life? Perseverance is important, persistence is important, and you got to believe in you. And you got to trust God that things are going to work out.
You can do goal setting with a pencil, but you have to do goal getting with your legs. And it's the action that separates us. The greatest gap in this world is the gap between knowing and doing. Knowing is goal setting. Doing, now that's goal achieving. You got to take action.
This attitude is rarely found. Well, anyway, if you've been troubled by the old familiar human malady of running up too many roads and trying to run up more than one at a time, pick the one out of all of them which seems to offer the most promise, forget all the rest, and dig a deep, straight highway to your goal in life. You'll be amazed at how quickly it can be reached, and the time will pass anyway.
A lot of people think that what's possible in their lives is strictly determined by where they came from and what happened to them. No, you have no idea how far you can go, how far you can stretch, how far you can reach. So you got to take that thing and hold on to that and figure out, well, how can I apply this into my life? You know, like take this might be the day mentality that everything comes together for me. You don't know what's possible in your life. You have no idea how far you can reach, how far you can stretch. You have no idea.
The happiest people on earth are those who are emotionally involved in what they're doing. This calm, cool, collected bit is all right for cows, camels, and turtles, but it'll never produce a great sermon, symphony, business, piece of architecture, painting, marriage, or the miracle of a child. When you lose the excitement and heightened feeling of emotion in what you're doing, you'd best look around for something else.
Humans have an unreal capacity to get great at things, even if they don't have a natural talent for it, if they're immersed in it, and to learn something and acquire a ton of knowledge in a short period of time as well. Society is conspiring all the time in our culture to completely distract you so you never win. And they get these different things on television and our phones and in our lives to just get us distracted so we never get obsessed. We never get laser focused for an extended period of time.
People without vision perish, and they die in a life of mediocrity. They die with their dreams still in them. They die living a misplaced life, making the cemetery rich and Miles Monroe angry.
So for me, my brain's saying, that's it, right there. Move as fast as a rocket, Mel. I wanted to change my life. And I think most people that are miserable or that are really like dying to be great, we want to change. We want to live a better life. We want to create more for our families. We want to be happier. The desire is there. It's about how do you go from knowledge to action.
If you do something often enough, a ratio will appear. Key phrase, if you do something often enough, a ratio will appear. It's amazing. In baseball, we call it batting in. If you talk to 10 people, one says yes. Now the ratio has begun. 1 out of 10. Here's something interesting about the law of averages. Once it starts, it tends to continue.
I talk a lot about your instincts and inner wisdom. When you set goals, when you have an intention on something that you want to change about your life, your brain helps you. What it does is it opens up a checklist, and then your brain goes to work trying to remind you of that intention that you set. And it's really important to develop the skill of knowing how to hear that inner wisdom and that intention kicking in and leaning into it quickly.
If you're in a negative vibration, the only thing you can attract to you is something negative. How do you change? Well, one good way is consciously pick the people you associate with. Pick with people who are winning. Go mix with them. Do what they do.
And that is, everyone here is in business, and there's a problem that all businesses have. We're in the most competitive environment we've ever been in. We went from, 500 million people being online to a couple billion people being online. And in the next 4 years, they're saying we're going to have 3 billion more online. That means this entire world is a bigger market. If you're the person that adds more value, it also means you're going to have more competitors than you've ever seen in your life. How many think the economic world that we're in today is going to stay the way it is? Raise your hand. Okay, one man on drugs, there's always one. How many think that the economic environment's going to go through seasons? We're going to have some more ups and downs as we adjust to what's happening in the world here. Say I. Well, then if we know that, our goal, you and I as leaders, should be to anticipate that. In fact, everyone in this room is a leader of something, whether you're the leader of the company or whether you're a leader of a department or whether you're a parent or hopefully you're a leader, not a follower. If you're a leader, you've got to exercise that skill. And so I want to talk to you about that and one of the most important skills of that. But most people don't exercise that leadership because they're dropping behind in their skill sets. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. How many of you in this room, I want an honest answer. I'd like you to yell the answer, raise your hand if you would, please. How many of you in this room have ever experienced the absolute total humiliation of playing a video game against a child? What happens when you play the child? Who always wins? Come on, who wins? Always. Why? Is it because they're faster? Is it they're smarter? They're younger? Their neurons are functioning at a quicker tempo? Here's how it usually works. You're a mother or father, you're an uncle or an aunt, you're a grandfather or grandmother, you're a friend of the family, you're looking for a gift. We live in a tech world, in a world where today children play with an iPad and learn how to use it before they know how to tie their shoes. How different is that world? I was with Mark yesterday with his daughter for her six-year-old birthday, and we're talking about things, and she's got these Legos, and a friend of ours says, oh, my 6-year-old goes on the iPad, searches on YouTube for videos on how to build cool stuff using Legos, and starts to study how to build all these structures. That's the world we're in that our kids are in at 6 years old. And imagine what else they're searching for and finding at 6 years old. It's a wild, wild world. So here we are with this technology, and most of us are not seeing what it's doing for us. So you sit down with this child who's high tech, you're not. Even the techies in this room aren't usually as gamers. I know there are plenty of gamers in the room, but there's plenty not. And then what does the child do? The child says, oh, come on. You go, look, I'm not good at this. This is for you. Come on, uncle. Come on, auntie. Come on, mom. Come on, dad. It's my birthday. It's Christmas. They use the guilt approach, don't they? And what do you find? You finally break down. Okay, now you should know you're being set up when they go, you go first, right? And they go, look, it's really simple. You just shoot these guys and it all drops down. And you think, okay, I'm gonna show this little bastard I can do a thing or two here, right? Take out the gun and you're dead in 2.3 seconds. Whose experience is say I? Now what happens to the child? About 45 minutes later, you get your second turn. Am I right? And then you're really pissed. You're dedicated, you're devoted, you're focused. You're gonna take this thing out. You last 4 seconds and you're dead. Out of the side of the head. The kid, 45 minutes again. Who's had this experience? Say I. Why? Does the child always win? Is it because they're faster? Is it because they're smarter? Is it because they're stronger? No, it's because they played this game before. As a result, they have the secret to success. They know the road ahead. And if you know the road ahead, you have an incredible power called anticipation. Anticipation is the ultimate advantage. See, winners, leaders anticipate, losers react. The reason you get beat is you don't know where things are happening, so you're reacting. Reaction is always stressful. And yet so much of our life is predictable if we just were to study it, not be caught up in our day-to-day. It's predictable the challenges you're gonna have in your relationships, or with your kids, or with your body, or with your job, or with your economics, or with your mother-in-law or father-in-law. These are predictable. And if you were to anticipate these things and put a strategy in place, you could take it all out and have the quality of life that you deserve. In business, it's everything.
Success is predictable, and success is predictable because life is designed for your success. But failure is also predictable because failure is the same result as success. Let me explain what I mean. God designed everything he created to be successful. You will never see a bird who cannot fly naturally. You'll never see a fish who cannot swim naturally. Every seed, if you put it in the ground and give it water, you don't need to pray. It is designed to bring forth a tree. Everything God created has built into it its own success. And if the plant is here today and gone tomorrow, how much more important are you to God? The average human being does not know why they're on planet Earth. They wake up every morning, go into a job they hate, working with people they don't like, getting paid less than they're worth, and dying too young from frustration because they don't know why they exist. Without a purpose, life has no meaning. It has no sense of destiny, no sense of precision. The average human on earth have no idea about their ability. 90% of the human population will die and never achieve more than 10% of their true ability. This is the frustration of all humans. Every human wants to be successful. I have never met any human who said, I plan to fail tomorrow. No human wants to fail. Am I right? Everybody wants to succeed. But I have some good news for you. Write this down. Success is to predict what is my destination. Everyone wants to know, what is my future? Where am I going in the next 20 years, 40 years? What will I be when I am 75 or 82? What is my destiny? The greatest tragedy in life is life without a purpose. Nothing is worse than being alive and not knowing why. Breathing oxygen and eating food and getting energy and don't know why you have it. To live for 80 years and still didn't know why you were here. That's a tragedy. Your success is important to God. God needs you to succeed. When I discovered this, I became very bold. I discovered this when I was 17 years old. I discovered that God needed me to succeed because success is built in to creation by every manufacturer. Success is important to every manufacturer who makes a product. So the success of the product is necessary to protect the reputation of the company. So the worst thing that can happen to a manufacturer is when his product fails. His entire reputation and company can be destroyed. So success is necessary for the manufacturer. You are a product, and the first thing the manufacturer placed on you is his image. The manufacturer says, let us make a product in our image.
And Shoaff taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that said, as you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library. Number one. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson one. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson two, watch your coffee. You gotta be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account. Mr. Shoaff gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind. How important. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the result.
Five sources of inspiration. Here's the first one. Deciding. If you just make a decision, it can be sometimes the day that starts you on a brand new journey. Now, some decisions are incidental and some are small and some, are part of a working day. But sometimes decision making can be one of the most important days of your life. Maybe a decision you've postponed, and now you understand the penalty of postponing that decision. You've got to do something, and finally you come to the conclusion, today is the day. I now decide. And whether you decide on a new direction, whether you decide on a refinement in philosophy, whether you decide to act when before you haven't acted, you decide on a series of things that you're going to do, you decide. Deciding can be such an incredibly important, very exciting, inspirational day. Also, deciding sometimes starts the process of lifting our self-esteem. Sometimes when you look back on it, the day that you decided was just about as exciting as the day when you finally accomplished the project. That when you finally made the decision, you finally got the monkey off your back, as we say in English. You finally, got through whatever barriers kept you from making that decision, and finally you made a decision. And now it seems like the sky is blue and the air is clear and your mind is ready and, the adrenaline starts to flow, things start to happen to you from that moment of decision. So that can be an incredible source of inspiration. Now, if you don't follow through, it's not going to last all that long. If you decide and then, postpone and you decide but you still don't get to it for a week or a month or a year, soon all that energy and that source of inspiration is all dissipated. So deciding is inspiring, but not for that long. But once you decide, it can be a very powerful day. But now, of course, you must follow through. But if there's some things you've been postponing, some decisions you have just, haven't gotten to, I would ask you to just, take out your journal and just go through, what have I been postponing that's not going to be better for my health? It's not going to be better for my future. It's not going to enhance my finances. Maybe a problem needs to be solved. I got to decide when I'm going to do it and how I'm going to proceed. I need to get to it. I promise you, if you'll go through some of that list and start making those decisions, your inspiration will start to flow, and those could be very critically important, exciting days. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. Indecision means the door is still closed. Indecision means the opportunity waits. Indecision means what could be is postponed or may never be. And those are all the penalties of indecision. And sometimes we can't make a snap judgment. We can't decide immediately on something so important. But after a while, we must understand sometimes the heavy penalty of putting off our decision making. So, one source of inspiration, deciding. Here's the next one. Planning. Now that you've decided and you start making plans, it's incredible what can happen as a source of inspiration. When finally what's in your head, what's in your imagination, now finally starts to take shape on paper. When I first heard about network marketing, I was 25 years old. And I heard some of the testimonials, and I heard that people have gotten rich, and I've heard that it's changed people's lives. And I've heard that you could start with nothing and become something. But let me tell you what was exciting. When I finally made the decision, yes, I was going to be part of the industry, yes, I was going to make it part of my marketing future, what was really exciting was when I sat down and started making plans. I started committing imagination and belief to paper. I started writing it down. I started as we often do, drawing those circles. What if I had 5? What if I had 10? And then when I had a concept of what that could bring for me, then I said, how can I reach the first 5? How can I reach the first 10? What could I do? Starting to make those plans, I'm telling you, I remember those days as if they were yesterday. They were so exciting. I had a concept of what I wanted. I had a dream of what could happen for me. If it could happen for others, maybe it could happen for me. But when I started putting it on paper and started making the plans, that was an incredible source of inspiration for me. Because the plans seemed to now start making it real. That what I had thought about, what I dreamed about, now I'm actually getting to it by making a plan. However, you can make all the plans in the world, and it is a source of inspiration for only so long. And you can make one plan, and then you can make another plan. And you can make some plans today, and the next day you can make some more plans, and the next day you can make some more plans. And it is a very exciting source of inspiration, but only for a while. I'm sure we would all agree that making plans, that inspiration It wouldn't last for a week. Now, that inspiration now must drive you to do number 3. The first source of inspiration is deciding. Second source of inspiration is planning. And now, here's a big source of inspiration: beginning. Getting started. Actually turning thought and the notes on the paper, the plans, actually now committing it to action. Getting started. And beginning can be an incredible source of inspiration. Guess what you can say when you begin a change in your diet? When you begin to take the Herbalife products, guess what you can say? I'm on a new track. I have carved out for myself a new beginning. I'm on my way to the most incredible health. I will never be the same again. I'm leaving the old, undisciplined part of me. I'm leaving that behind. I'm a new person. I'm taking my first shake. I'm swallowing the first tablets. I made my first, walk around the block that I'd thought about for so long and never did. I finally did it today. I've started. I have begun. That is an incredible source of inspiration. And that is to start, to begin. You cannot believe what can happen to your self-esteem. And many of you have already experienced it. I'm just asking you to begin something new in all the areas of your life. Maybe you've always thought about benevolence and you just haven't gotten started, or you haven't made the plans, or you haven't made the decision. I'm asking you to start taking that stuff now that's in your head, that imagination, which is very powerful. And it's a great source of inspiration in itself. But then I'm asking you then to decide, use that inspiration. Then I'm asking you to make plans, begin to make plans, use that inspiration. And then if you take that first step, it can be the first step of an incredible journey. And when Mark had his first meeting, when Mark recruited his first distributor, when Mark got his first customer, his grandmother using the product, when Mark got that first few yeses from people, and he started the process, as simple as it was, from the trunk of his car, as crude as the literature was in the beginning, it was a start. And so beginning can be an incredible source of inspiration. And beginning can be many things. Beginning a new commitment to learning. You say, I'm going to have a library second to none, and I bought the first book of my new library today. I'm going to be surrounded by information and inspiration. The cassette tapes and the videos and the books. I'm going to have a library second to none. I've thought about it. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And, I've started making plans. I've provided some space in my room for my expanded library. But here's what's exciting. I got the first book today. I've gotten started. This is just the first of many, many books. This is the first of a whole flow of information for me. This is the first time. You want to learn a new skill and you sign up for a class. Let's say you want to learn accounting or something, and you sign up for the class and you take the first class. You get started. You thought about it. You made some plans for it. You made some time for it. But there's nothing like sitting there in the class with the pen in your hand and the pad ready to take notes. Here I am. I'm starting on a new journey of learning. Remember that. Beginning is a fantastic source of inspiration. Planning is an incredible source of inspiration. Deciding is an unbelievable source of inspiration. But now beginning only lasts so long. If you begin that first week and then you don't continue, yes, you'll be inspired by deciding and planning and beginning. But all of that now will start to fade away if you don't do number 4. One of the great sources of inspiration is progressing. Once you've gotten started, now you proceed, you progress. Now you go to class the second week, you go to class the third week. But it's not only progressing in terms of time, it's progressing in terms of what you're learning, progressing in terms of getting the information that you hadn't discovered before. Now you're excited about that. Progress. One of the greatest sources of inspiration is progress. When you start jogging around the block, and at first it's a little difficult, and then it's 2 blocks, and then you go around 4 or 5 times. But then you notice you're breathing easier. You notice when you go up a flight of stairs, you're not out of breath. And it suddenly occurs to you, in a fairly short period of time, you're making progress. You can tell within a short period of time, I'm making progress on my oxygen supply. I'm making progress on losing weight. Then when you start making progress in your business, your ability to make contacts, your ability to talk to people. Being so shy, you decided one day, hey, I've had enough with being too shy. I've made the decision, I'm making some plans, I'm gonna begin talking to people. And you start, and at first it's difficult. But then, very quickly, and it doesn't take a year, I'm telling you, it doesn't take a month, it doesn't take a week. I promise you, even though you're a little bit shy, if you'll just start to introduce yourself, if you'll just start to talk to someone you've never talked to before, just get started. I promise you, in a fairly short period of time, because 2 things are happening. One is deciding to overcome a liability, but also understanding that with this new skill now, with this new ability, and with my progress, no telling what I can accomplish. Because if I can get over the fear of talking to one, I can get over the fear of talking to number 10, number 50, number 100. And by the time I get to number 50 and number 100, my self-confidence is going to be so strong, my self-esteem is going to be so high, my new skill is going to show such incredible progress that I will never look back on the old ways. So, what an incredible source of inspiration, progressing. I jotted this down. Unhappiness is simply the lack of progress toward a preset goal. If you're not making progress, see, that's when unhappiness sets in. But here's where happiness begins. Making progressive progress. You don't have to arrive all at once. You don't have to have it immediately. But as long as you're making progress, as long as progress is part of your experience now, it is a fantastic source of inspiration. Now here's the next one. Source of inspiration, and that is achieving. When you finally have arrived at that goal that you set, I want to have this much experience and be able to do this by 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 6 months from now. And finally, that 6 months passes, and there you are. Finally, the time passes, and you have it. Finally, the time passes, and the skill is now beginning to be polished, and it is so unique and effective. Achieving is an incredible source of inspiration. But here's what we notice. When you do achieve, whatever you set out in the beginning, where you decided and planned and you got started and you progressed, when you finally achieve, that achievement is not much more inspiration than when you decided. It's a different kind of inspiration. It's a different kind of feeling to having arrived. Knowing that you've got many other objectives to accomplish, many other places you want to go, things you want to do, the person you want to become. But at least I've got this one. I've done this one. I remember way back when I wanted to do the training and I wanted to do teaching, I would like to do seminars, because I saw people that had such a magnificent effect on their audience. They used the language to such an unbelievable degree. I could tell that something was mixed from their heart and their soul and their mind and their vocabulary, and this mixture of stuff together presented to someone's ears to hear, and a heart maybe to believe, and a mind to understand, that the most incredible magic could occur. I thought to myself, if I could possibly do that, It would be the greatest feeling in the world. Later, I've come to have one more goal, which I just probably won't ever attain, and that is to be a singer. To not only speak the poetry, to not only speak the language, but to sing it, accompanied by music. In my opinion, that's probably the most awesome impact you can have on any person or any group or any audience, is the ability to communicate a message or a poem or lyrics or what you feel or what you know, to communicate it by music and by song. To me, it is the most incredible impact that one human can have on another or have on an audience. But next to that is to be able to feel strong about some ideas and have the ability to put it into words, to put it into language, drive it by emotion, have it mixed with experience, you know, and all the stuff that goes on in your head and your heart and your soul, and deliver it to the best of your ability, even as I'm doing today, to an unseen audience. But since I can visualize the audience and where it goes from here and where it may go beyond where it reaches even at the moment, that inspires me to do my best to come up with ideas that will be meaningful and helpful. To me, this is the most incredible experience. You know, the song, I will never get there because, you know, I don't have that particular powerful talent. But next to it, I'm telling you, you can have next to that the most incredible effect on someone else. Without a doubt, you can stir someone's imagination. You can reach that achievement. You can be there. What you've wished for and what you've dreamed for, if you will draw from the source of deciding that inspiration, and the inspiration of planning, the inspiration of beginning, and the inspiration of progressing, then you will know this incredible inspiration of achieving, of finally getting there, finally being the person, finally accomplishing the goal.